obligatory rate of payment. This and this alone, then, is actual economy. But our future and our potential determination to shape it hinge still on one simple, practically rhetorical question. What actual representative of the people, then, would even consider denying them their right to pay $1,000 per year or $83 per month for a $100,000 home with a 100-year lifespan, daring even perpetually still to call the people's purposed terminal exploitation economy? The only difficulty in answering that question is fathoming that such a preposterous collection of lies could never see its first day, but that a religious dedication to haplessness simply submits to an ever unjustifiable proposition that a victim class must rent their very own contracts to fulfill their obligations to each other from a mere pretended creditor, subject to entirely falsified terms of perpetually escalated dispossession, which are even terminal to the ever unwitting victim's industry and prosperity. There is no other solution but mathematically perfected economy. And what should offend the wiser most, therefore, is not just which culls continue to pave the way for the lie, even as each preposterous permutation is only paraded as yet another undemonstrated solution. Because there is only one solution, and because they who deny it to us confess, at least by their ever-orchestrated evasion, that they knowingly stand so wrongly for another thing. No, the real shame of the conundrum emerges from the deeper question, not just of who, but why, for what price. For regardless of their impossible delusions of sustainability, separate betterment, or purported justice, only by their price can we understand how everyone who is not fighting for the singular facts of mathematically perfected economy and absolute consensual representation is the road to our destruction. In the end, nonetheless, two alternatives determine our lot. Do we stand for just reward, perpetually sustained for all? Or do we stand, or do we only think we stand, for unjust reward, at the inevitably terminal disposition of practically all, which in fact is to stand for nothing? So, as much as on cue, what's in the news lately? More bailout, supposedly rescuing us, higher taxes, they're going to postpone Social Security, they're going to tax us more, give us less. Where's it going to go? To your central banker friends. What are the titles of the articles we're seeing are disturbing? I'm just going to read a few of them. The fight to save Social Security begins now. With national elections barely over, Republicans and Democrats unveiled their real political agenda. No kidding. In the form of Obama's Deficit Reduction Commission. The bipartisan commission has a nightmare vision for working people that, if implemented, will remold American society to mirror the current ruler of U.S. politics, the corporations and wealthy. Well, I'm sorry, but the top of the pyramid is the central banking system. They come to own everything. And so by understanding these things, when we talk about evil corporations, we should understand that all this wealth transmitted to, transferred to a central banking system explains how we get such powerful and evil corporations. Not all corporations are evil, but those who seek illimitable unearned profit find themselves in these situations of ruling America through corporations, which are simply the arms of this giant octopus of wealth. Another title: The Job Crisis, What Obama Should Say. On November 2nd, Democrats were shellacked because they didn't have a coherent message about the jobs crisis. Well, how can you fix the jobs crisis if you don't fix the economy? And are these people going to tell us they're going to fix the economy? Let's find out. Whereas Republicans said lower taxes and fewer regulations create jobs, Dems equivocated, let's not go back to the Bush era. Well, to prevent another Democratic disaster in 2012, President Obama must develop a forceful jobs narrative. Well, what do they mean by narrative? You mean propaganda? Because if you're not going to change the economy, forget it. We've lost more jobs than the government's even admitting, so they can continue to destroy more jobs. Cutting Social Security is the new TARP. With the Deficit Reduction Commission, as usual, a bunch of overprivileged ingrates have been chosen by a bunch of overprivileged ingrates to tell the rest of us that we don't need what little we have. Sure enough, if they go through with their recommendations, they all deserve to be taken down, including Obama. No kidding. Paul Krugman, the hijacked commission. We've known for a long time then that nothing good would come from the commission. But on Wednesday, when the co-chairman released a PowerPoint outlining their proposal, it was even worse than cynics expected. How, exactly, did a deficit-cutting commission become a commission whose first priority is cutting taxes, with deficit reduction literally at the bottom of the list? Well, I can tell you, Paul. Because it's impossible to cut the deficit, because the system that you've got a Nobel Prize for commending can only multiply artificial indebtedness upon us. Another title: There simply aren't enough jobs to employ 4 out of 5 unemployed Americans. That's actually a misstatement. I think they're trying to say that 4 out of 5 Americans are unemployed, and that might be quite an understatement, to tell you the truth. Not even counting the underemployed Americans, which is a whole other further issue. Contrary to GOP talking points, receiving unemployment checks does not make people lazy, although it may make them anxious and depressed because there are no jobs for 80% of the people seeking them. Well, maybe they did mean to say what the title was. Obama is one and done. So now what? Now that we realize Obama is going to be a one-term president, what's it to be, my fellow progressives? 2 more years of frustration or biting the bullet? Well, this is all any even reasonably truthful report can convey to us. All these foxes guarding the hen house, they're off making sure that the money goes to the banking system. They're not justifying the indebtedness. They're not justifying that the debt was multiplied out of interest. They're just saying, well, even though in these times here, which are the end of this, the inevitable end, which you can understand from the obfuscation of the currency alone, they're saying the people are going to pay, as if we even could pay. Now, there's many things going on. I talk about the plagiarism. We incurred 25,400,000 articles on a topic which didn't even have interest a few years ago, which is precipitated evidently from my parable of perfect economy. There are people around the world for many years who have attempted to get government's ear about mathematically perfected economy. Despite all the the plethora of purported solutions that are my plagiarists are coughing up like they've got the flu. There are many efforts to get the ear of government. Now, generally, someone will contact me and say, I know Ron Paul, so I'm gonna present Ron Paul on mathematically perfected economy, or they know Dennis Kucinich, or they knew some other person in power. They're close to the president, and I've had people who have family members in something short of a dozen different members of the Obama administration try to channel mathematically perfected economy into the administration somehow. No one has ever succeeded. In other words, mathematically perfected economy hasn't been disproven. Nobody's proven an alternate solution for inflation or deflation. Nobody's proven it's even possible to maintain a vital circulation without perpetually multiplying artificial indebtedness in proportion to remaining capacity to pay. But these people go on and on and on and on and on. This proposition of mathematically perfected economy engenders no interest because these people are against us. And so, nonetheless, when people are newly exposed to this is a direction that they want to go. Now, there are many people who make genuine efforts at this. Recently, since actually about this time last year, a gentleman introduced himself to me and commended my work as obviously the only solution. And he purported to have links to the intelligence community and background in that kind of work, and he has political aspirations, which I'm not even going to describe, but he's over in Israel. And his first contact with me was he was ecstatic in his studying of my work, and he advocated that it wasn't only the solution for Israel, because no country is safe from the world's global financial collapse at hand, but it was also the solution for Palestine. And I thought, this is a person I have to open a door to. And before you know it, they're claiming they're going to fly me to Israel, get me before the Knesset, and they put me into contact with the financial minister of Israel. And, we're met with the usual deaf ears. And then months later, he's got a way to present mathematically perfected economy to the governments of Greece, and there were other countries mentioned, like Italy and whatnot. I don't know if he did any serious work on this, because this guy doesn't actually report back to me with details of what he's doing or how he's going about this, but he claims he's promoting mathematically perfected economy. And over a month ago, he claims he presented mathematically perfected economy to China, government of China. Of course,